Hello everyone, this is Q here. This is part 2 of the Olive Toon Harmony Rigging stream session recorded back in August 2020. In this part, I mostly tackle the rigging of the eye, and then at the end, bit of the head and hair. I should mention that this series isn't meant to be a full-on in-depth tutorial, but I try to explain whenever I can. And as always, feel free to ask questions in the comments, and I will answer them as many as I can. Enjoy. So I'm starting with the eye at the moment. Now we have the pupil here. This one will be black color. Right now I just turn it into brown just so that I can tell that I'm on the pupil palette here instead of this line black color. Okay, and then pupil highlight, we'll need that. Which one? That will be white. Okay, so now that I started rigging, I'm gonna need some basic modules that I'm gonna use frequently. I would normally have this saved as a set in a library, but I don't. And just to show everybody, I'll just pull it off from here. So what do we need? I need overlay layer module, or I guess they call it node now. So I'll try to use correct terminology. So overlay layer node, line art. I'll try to zoom in a little bit so you can read it. Color and underlay. So those I will definitely use very frequently, along with cutter and along with auto patch. I'll also use very frequently. Let's see. What else? Maybe visibility node. And that's it for now. So yeah, so I'm just going to rig the eye. Pupil black, pupil highlight white. And then we need separate palette for the eye. Now, if anyone was here earlier, I was thinking of making the eye just oval for the sake of simplicity. You know, but I thought it would lose a little bit of appeal from the sketch I did, so I just changed it into kind of super rounded, four-sided square. And I might give it a little bit of taper of the thickness on the bottom here. So by default, not default, but the standard I'm working on this one is thickness of 2. The bottom one, yeah, just lowered it to 1.5, 1.6. So give it slight favor to the top. Now we're on the line art layer. We'll fill it with the eye color, and we'll grab it, cut and paste it into the color art layer. So we have that. So what I'm going to do right now is if you're not too familiar with Toon-Boom rigging, I'm going to, you see this eye, the pupil here. I'm going to try to contain it within the eye white of the eye here. So for that right now we need line art and color art. So I'm just going to copy and paste it right underneath the FI we created here, and hold Alt, and then just slide these in, plug that in here like so. And I already have a composite group for my pupil here. I just quickly added the pegs for the hierarchy. And then we'll need cutter. And we'll take this group of this pupil that we have. We'll plug it here like so. And I want that pupil to be between the line art of the eye, between this one and this one here. And then color art, we're gonna tell it to mask invert mask. Yeah. So this pupil group will be invert mask by the eye white, and as simple as that. Now it only exists within this eye white here. While I'm here, I'm going to set the pivot points of these pegs. Like so. Let's do it for the eye. Oops. Like so. So for those who don't know, if you want to permanently set the pivot of the peg, you just do it through one of these advanced animation tools, I believe they're called. So any of the translate, rotate, scale, and skew, if you move pivot points while you're in these tools selected, it's gonna move the pivot points permanently. But if you're animating, if you just move it while you're on the transform tool, it's just gonna move it temporarily, and if you click off, it's just gonna reset back to where you set it permanently. I haven't done the main body or joints yet. I'm just going from head down. And it's nice to get some parts of it completed each day, so I'm just gonna go with that. And right now, the way I have this set up, the eyes, so I plan this so that the eyes, I'm not gonna require like actually like animated like different cells for the blinks. I'm just gonna have the eyelids like come down like a curtain, like you see here. So it's just gonna act like a shutter kind of thing, and then there might be some couple special poses for like smiling or something like that. But so this is pretty easy way to make an eye, easy style, but you know, so that's what I chose to go with for this one. Now the eyelashes, I'm debating whether to make its own drawing or just put it into this eye element here. I think I might separate it in case, especially if I want to like make another character using this rig. It might be a little bit easier to change the design if I have those eyelashes separated. So I'll do that right now. I am eyeball centering these pivots. I'm not 100% sure if there's like mechanical perfect way to do it. I haven't come across anyone actually do that, so I haven't learned it if there is a way. And so far, it hasn't been a big issue if it was little off. Now, if we're doing a joint, let's say I'm setting the pivot for this joint. I have a method of doing it pretty accurately, but it's still not mechanical. But it's like, so what I do is like, let's say if I were to find the center on this circle, and it's a perfect circle, so if you select it, you know, you can see that there's center point right there, right? So what I do is I fill it, and then I grab the fill, and then I just shrink it way down from the center. So holding Alt allows me to just shrink, hold Alt and Shift allows me to just shrink it down, like way down, and then, you know, I zoom in even further so I can get that like precision. So now I have this like a perfect center point here, and if I were to put a pivot on that, for example, then I just zoom in all the way in as close as I can. And, you know, so because I zoomed in so much that even if I'm a little off, like I might be like, I don't know, like hundreds of millimeter off or something like that, right? So if I rotate this right now, like it looks like a perfect rotation, like you can't even see it. So that's how I do if I want it to be perfect on these joints. Yeah, so it's easy enough for the circle. I guess, like, yeah. So I suppose if you really wanted to find that perfect, then you can do the same for these ones as well. So, yeah. So I was a little off. So maybe I'll do that for these eyes because they're eyes, and they're still oval. So yeah, cool. That worked out. So I'll just delete that, refill it. Perfect. Yeah, now it's like pretty centered, and if I were to stretch it, like, yeah. So I think that was a pretty good thing to do there. So let's make the eyelashes. This one I'll go with thickness of 1. I'm just trying this out. I'm not sure how well it worked design-wise, because I didn't really clean up the design perfectly for me to just follow it. So when it comes to this part right now, I'm kind of winging it. So maybe I'll do that like so. And instead of me like making this shape like this, I'm just gonna create separate triangular shape. Something like that. So that way, if I want to adjust it after effect, I can. I'll put these in the overlay so they don't. Oh, and I'm drawing with the pupil palette, which is not good. So maybe I'll just make a new lash palette for this one. So doesn't look too bad. I might tweak a little bit here. Sure. That looks okay, I suppose. Okay, what next? This isn't really supposed to move independently, so I'm just gonna attach it to the eye peg here. Okay. So a little bit of hierarchy. We have I, and just above Fi. I'm gonna call this F underscore I underscore main. So this I is actually I'm gonna say it's more or less done, but like we need to make the eyelids, so we'll do that right now. So eyelids. There are a couple ways, different ways to do eyelids. There's two different ways that I can approach. But maybe I'll explain it when I get there. So let's work on the upper eyelid first. Okay. So eyelid. For eyelid, I think let's keep our standard thickness 2. And I want it to be straight, so make sure I'm on the line art layer. And I'm gonna make just a straight line just above this eye white, so it's just out of the out of view. Now I don't need it too big, but you still want it kind of big enough. So I'm gonna draw 5 cells for the eyelids right now. And those are, let's see if I can. So one of them will be the straight eyelid, like so. Let's pick this color. Straight eyelid, right? And the other one will be slightly curved, and the other one will be curved even more, and the other one will be reverse curve, and then the other one will look like this. So basically, I'm trying to set up 5 eyelid cells like so. So we have our first one. I think for safety, I'm going to, in the timeline, I'm just gonna duplicate this eyelid 5 times, or 4 times, I suppose. So I have 5 different instances of eyelids. So if you can see in this box here, now we have 1, 2. I know it's a little bit hard to read. 3, 4, 5. So there's 5 different unique drawings there. Because sometimes sometimes you forget to duplicate, and then you just end up editing the drawing that you already have, which is not fun. So first one is like that, and then I'm gonna add the stroke. Okay. Stacia, sure. Sorry if I'm butchering it. I'll get to your question in a second. I'll do this one quickly, and let's see if I can answer that. I'm just gonna quickly make a eyelid piece here, just for the sake of making it cleanliness. I'm just gonna snap these 2 points to the end of our straight line here. It's a little bit hard to see, but yeah, I'm working with the strokes. So strokes are basically, default is Alt V, and you can create a strokes. They're basically invisible lines. So, and then I made a reference here. Oh, I forgot about this lid shine as well. So I'm gonna need to account for that as well. Okay, add those to my pool of colors. And since we have eyelid shine, I might handle that separately. So, but since we have it, eyelid shine, I'm gonna, normally I would just keep this in like one line art, but yeah, I'm gonna keep that lid on a separate layer in the color art. Okay, so let's quickly get to Stasia's question. Hi Q, how do you cut the pupil for the eye blinks if it's not a curtain piece? Like if you need to use skin color within the eye drawing. Yeah, okay, so yeah, so difference between those cartoony curtain eyelids So let me know if I have this correct. So difference between like this type of eye and this type of eye, right? Yeah, quite simple actually, and even simpler if it's like the show is like using all black. So I can even do it with this character right now. So let's see. So instead of having this eyelid, you would have cutter instead, right? So let's grab line art and color it for the upper lid. Separate it like so. Okay, let me do it the curtain. Yeah, I don't know the correct, like if there's any terminology for it, but I'll just do it the way I was doing for this character, and then I will duplicate it and show the other way. So for this one, it's fairly simple. You would just put it just like the pupil. This would work just like the pupil. You just do it like that, simple, right? You just contain it within the eye, and then layering wise goes, it would just be on top of the pupil. So this is very simple way to do this one. Now, if you want to do it the other way, like this one here, then you're basically, let's see, let's duplicate this whole thing here. And let's do an example. Okay. Okay. So I'm just gonna move this off to the side so that we'll always have it as some kind of teaching tool. So here, so instead of having this eyelid color, you would have a cutter instead. And when you set up this cutter, you know, you would make it even bigger than you would eyelid, because you would want it to like get as far as, you know, bottom if possible. Normally you wouldn't go too low because there'll be a bottom eyelid that comes up as well, right? So we have these two set up, and now you basically tell this eye, let me just set this up. Okay, so this whole composite group is just this entire eye right here in this blue shaded color. Now we'll just use a cutter to just cut it with that cutter color that we have, the green. So now that as this goes down, the eye gets, masked, and then you have the skin underneath the face color, and that'll get shown. Now, there's one extra step, is this eyelid line, right? So that one you just need to invert cut to this whole eye shape so it gets contained within it. So it's kind of simple as that. Now, one downside, it does not work with my current setup here with the eyelashes, because so if it's for this type of look, blink, then yeah, you would have the eyelashes attached to this piece, I guess, because that's how eyes would work, right? So yeah, there's that. One thing I forgot to do for these cutters, I like to color coordinate them. I know with since Toon-bum 15, 16, they have it's already color coordinated with like an invert cutter for white here, and regular cutter is like black. But we used to do this at work, and it just seems a lot more visible for me, at least. So green for invert cut, and then we do red for regular cutter. So that's how you do that. I'm just gonna undo a little bit of rigging that I've done here, because we're not quite done with the eyelash. So so I remember I duplicated all the other lashes. I'm just gonna delete them all, and then I'm gonna reduplicate the first drawing that I did. And when you're deleting, you can either do this through Xsheet or Timeline. Xsheet might be a little better, but I'm just gonna do it with Timeline because I can right now. So if you look at this, there's 5 different cells on this timeline. I know it's a little bit hard to see, but so if you select over them and then if you hit delete, it's actually not going to delete the drawings. It's just gonna delete those instances of those drawing on this timeline, but those drawings still remain in those elements. So what you have to do is either select them here, right click, drawings, delete selected drawings, and that will delete the drawings from that drawing element, and they're gone forever. So I'm just gonna duplicate again, so I have 5 different cells. Right. Yes. Oh. Okay. I was selecting a wrong eyelid. Let's disable that for now so I don't get confused, and work with the one from the rig. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna make the 5 different positions. So I'm gonna make the slightly curved up one. So in the contour editor, I made a single point here. Oh boy, yeah, I'm a little bit of a mess right now. I'll fix everything later. So I made a single point in this here, but I'm gonna grab the outer 2 and then just gonna This is why proper procedure is important. Okay, so I'm on line art. I was on color art before, and I was manipulating the eyelid color, which, yeah. So let's just work with this. I'll fill in the eyelid color later. Okay, so it's our cell 1, the straight one. We'll just leave it as is. Okay, the second one. So second one. So I have 3 points here. I'm gonna select the outer two, and then just move it up a little bit. And then the middle point, I'm just gonna hold Alt and then just stretch it so it becomes a curve, so that I know that it's more or less kind of perfect-ish. There's no guarantee that this was a perfect middle center point from this point and that point. Probably it wasn't, but not a big deal. So for the next one, we're gonna do a little bit more extreme version of that. And that's probably enough. And then the one after that. And then one after that. Then I'm going to adjust our eyelid section a little bit so it gets big coverage. You don't want to go too big with these, but it's better than not enough. So then animator wouldn't have to go inside the drawing and manipulate it to fit their needs. Because basically I want it to go down to here-ish, so it could be a little bit bigger. So I'm gonna fill it so you can see a little better. Because if you were to close our eye, it will go down to here maybe. So I want a little bit more. Oh, and I had the snap to contour on, so it was kind of bothering me. It was snapping to places I didn't want. Okay. So that's done with that setup. And normally I would just invert cut and be it done, but since we have in the design we have this little eye shine, so I might do something for that. So I'll tell you quickly what I'm gonna do about that eye shine. So, you know, we have an upper eyelid and lower eyelid, right? So upper eyelid could look like something like this. And same with lower eyelid, like so. Now, what I could do is just either like just draw the eyelid shine like this, or even put it in here. But what's better is to have this eye shine be independent of either eyelids and just be its own thing. I'm not sure if I'm explaining right, but what I'm trying to achieve is that if the eyes are closed, if you have two separate eyelid shines, then sometimes it's really hard to match up like that curve of the eyelid shine, and the thickness too, right? Because sometimes you may not necessarily have you might scale it up and down depending on your expression needs, and you know it can get wonky. What you ideally want is to, if she's closing her eyes, like you know, like that looks a little bit off. Ideally what you want is this type of look where it's perfectly like single design line. So I'm just gonna, instead of putting those shine lines in the up and bottom eyelids, I'm just gonna create one, and you'll see it as the eyelids will reveal it. So F lid shine is what I'll call this. So yeah, so upper lid is basically done. The last step I need to do is just put this eyelid color and cut it and then paste it into the color layer. Just do it for all the cells. And then lastly, set the pivot. Like so. So the way we drew these eyelids are so that the pivot will always be in that singular point. If you can see it, it's like right here in the center. So it's not gonna change even though the shape changes. Now we're gonna duplicate this and create a lower eyelid. So I don't have to do the work twice. So I'm gonna paste special. In Toon-Boom, if you just do regular copy and paste, it creates what we're called clones. So the clones work in a way that if you make a change to one of them, it's gonna apply change to the clone. So we don't necessarily want that right now, not for this one. So I'm just gonna copy, Control C and Control B, and that's called paste special and brings up this menu. So the settings I'm just gonna use is add and remove exposure, that's default. Always create drawing files, and then I'm gonna check create new columns. So make sure that's checked, and that'll create its own duplicate and not a clone. So right now they're on top of each other, and what I'm gonna do is there's a tool called reposition all drawings, and if I click that, and whatever I do to one cell, and as long as they're laid out in this timeline, the term we'll call it, as long as they're exposed in the timeline, like cell 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so they're all here. So I basically want to flip this vertically, right? And then move it down like so. And let's take a look, and that should do it for all the cells that I have here. So that's done. I might move it over to the left a little bit so it fits better with our eye shape here. And I think, yeah, so that's done. We just need to rename it. F lower lid. Yeah, I'm not gonna rename peg. I'm just gonna create a new peg and then it will just name it to whatever the drawing name is. And then pivot point. And there we have it. Hey Lump, welcome. With some friends. Some kind of like streaming party? Well, I hope you have some music on, because it's kind of quiet. Well, feel free to ask any question. Alright. Okay, so the very last step before we call it done for eyelid is that eyelid shine right here. So, so let's make one. In the line art, eyelid shine. It's a little bit difficult to see with the flesh color on top of flesh color, but bear with me. Maybe I'll make 2 cells for... Yeah, no, I'm lazy. I'm just gonna make 1. So just 1 eye shine, lid shine like this. Now, we'll peg it. And then we'll invert cut this in 2. Okay, just saving right now, because I felt like there was a crash coming. Alright, cool. Yeah, something's up with my keyboard. Oh, yeah, and for some reason my Korean keyboard came back on, and that stops the hotkeys from working. So invert cut to the color art. Oops. Like so. And I think that's it. And for the final eyelid, we'll invert cut the eyelid composite that I created here. And if you feel extra fancy, you can rename them eyelid comp. It might help someone else who's working on your file. And there we have it. Hey, Pancake Draws, welcome. And now, when you see this, I think the color well is incorrect. Let me just double check that. Okay. Well, what do you know? Yeah, I colored it incorrectly, so I have to go back and color these. Same with this one. Make sure you are working with the correct color pool. So now that if she closes her eyes, yeah, looks like that. Cool. Cool. And our shine will just be like so. Oh shoot. Yeah, so there's one thing that I should have done before all this. That I should have done before I made the lower lid duplicate. Was to make some kind of a grabber. Like right now, like I can't grab. There's no way for me to select the eyelids without going into the node view. So I'm gonna make a way to just grab that. Hey, scanner. So how much should I explain? Well, the software is Toon. I'm making a rig. So this is a character rig that I'm making. So that, where is it? Here. Planning. Hang on. Why is this not showing up? Oh. Okay. So I'm making a character rig, so like when you you can animate with this, and then when you animate with the rig character, you know, it's different from frame by frame animation. So you don't have to like clean up every frame and so on, right? So yeah, that's the gist of it in a broad, most possible sense. You can pose out a character, and then you can let the computer do the calculation between each poses, and you can get some like in-betweens. Let the computer do the in-betweens. So, for example, if I were to just animate this eye moving or something, right? I can key pose here, and then another one here, and then another one here, and then I can just tell the computer to just, you know, do that, right? And with the more key poses, you can manipulate how each part will move, and you can get some decent animation. So yeah, so I'm actually going to delete this lower eyelid we created because I forgot to create a handle for the eyelid here. There's two different methods for creating a grabber. So you can grab this eyelid that is outside of the vision without going into the node view. One is to make some kind of a like people call it grabber or tag or something, so that usually it's like a dot, and you can just grab it and pull it, but if you render it, it won't show. But I'm gonna do it in the different method, is by using this invisible fill line. So I made this color called alpha. It's basically any color, but alpha, I set it down to 0, so it doesn't have color value. And so I'm gonna turn up the alpha a little bit so I can see what I'm doing. So I'm basically gonna display it like this here, right? So this blue won't be showing, but I can still select it. And so I'm just gonna do that for the 5 cells that I have. And in general, I like to put the alpha in the overlay layer. So I'm gonna do that as well. Yeah, so yeah, there's some few extra things I need to do for the pupil, and I'll explain that as well. There's there's always so much to explain. So let's just do this quickly. Doesn't have to be perfect, like since no one's gonna be looking at this. Actually, just gonna do that. So I'm just gonna create these alphas on the overlay layer. Okay, so that's done for that part. And now that I can just kind of grab it, even though it's out of the view. So I'll just duplicate the upper lid again for the lower part. And like before, I'm gonna reposition all drawings and flip. And translate. And change the pivot, and we're done with that one. Okay, so I have some questions on the chat. Okay, so who are those two little men in the graph node panel? Or I should ask, what are those funny little guys doing there? Am I missing something? Oh, you mean, do you see these two? Okay, yeah. So if these are custom scripts, And I'm just using the icon like one of my friend made from work. So the first one is find and replace custom script. So I just use that right now just to, so when I duplicated upper lid, I just use that to like change the name upper lid to lower lid. So you can just do that with this one. And the second one, and this guy's supposed to be like a detective, so a friend of mine put, I don't know which detective it is, but so that's like a picture of that. And then the second one, the custom script is called expose all drawings. Oops. So this one basically, like if I don't have any cells displayed on the timeline view, if I just click this one, and it will expose all the like cells available in that drawing element onto the timeline, and that is Jack Torrance from Shining, Frozen, all exposed to the elements. So the lid is done, but so there's one issue with making this alpha on the eyelids, which we will need to fix. So the issue is that if an animator is animating like a squint, this character judging you. Now, if I were to animate this pupil, actually I can't select it because if I turn on the alpha, so the alpha of the both lower eyelids and upper eyelids are blocking my cursor from clicking on the pupil. So that can get annoying very fast. So in this method, yeah, it does take an extra step, but so you do need to set this up. So in this pupil, we'll need alpha as well. So we'll have the line art for the pupil. That's where the black circle one is. And then we'll add overlay layer. And we'll copy and paste this one. Make an alpha of the pupil, like so. But so I put the overlay layer, which is our alpha here, but I need to plug it in front of all the eyelids. So I'm just gonna do that here. So now that even if I, make a squint, I can still animate the pupil. Yeah. But with this one, I might need to add another extra step, because right now the pupil alpha is just like kind of big. Right, it's outside of everything. So I might need to contain it within this area. So I might just... This is getting complicated now, which I wanted to avoid for this build. So I'm just gonna cut the eye yeah, so pupil alpha, I just use a cutter so it'll get cut away by the eyelids. A lot of steps, but it does make this rigging portion slightly complex, but it will make animators won't question it. Like, it just works, so that's what's really important. And we try to organize it a little bit so all the drawings are lined up and all the pegs are lined up as such. And I think the eye is done. Ugh, how long did that take? Like over an hour. Takes quite a while to try to explain a rig. Let's do eyebrows. Eyebrows super easy. Kind of. Yeah, it's easy. Let's see. I think here it is, eyebrow. Okay. I love backdrops. So if you didn't know, to create backdrops, you just select whatever you want and you click on this 3 lines here to bring down the drop down menu, and you go insert backdrop, and then it just creates a backdrop, and you can go into the option and change the color, and you can name it whatever you want as well. Let's try to get this organized. Yeah, it's getting more and more complicated than I would like this to be. Now I'm thinking this pupil highlight might need its own alpha too, which is like, it's just like layers after layers of annoyance. Maybe I should just do grabber method. Yeah. Just to show you, I'll just do it. And because it does make the rigging much simpler. So I'll do it for this one. So all the alpha stuff, I'm going to get rid of them. Yeah. Yes. It's all for the sake of education. Because if I really wanted to do this fast, I would have just done it myself. So let's take a look at method number 2, which is to do you know what? I don't like that method because I'll show it some other time, because we will use that method for the patches on the arm and stuff like that. But the reason why I don't like the other method of having the grabber, like visible like grabber like that, to pull the eyelids, is that it creates a visual noise. Like, so on pro side of it, it's very convenient to know exactly where to select something to grab the eyelids. But especially with the face, like if you have a bunch of like opaque, like transparent dots all over, like sometimes it kind of gets in the way of like you checking the appeal of the character. So, you know, so invisible grabber for the eyelids, I like it a lot. So we'll just move on. We'll just do eyebrow. Highlight alpha, I might add that on my own later. Eyebrow, relatively simple. Let's create quickly. I might create a separate color pool for that called brow. It's all future proofing. So if I'm going to use this character as a base to create another character, and then that character has a different eyebrows than black, you know, then I just need to change the color instead of recoloring all the other eyebrows. So eyebrows, you also need different cells for it, but right now I'm just gonna do one. You know, normally you have like a regular eyebrow, and then the inverted one, and then more extreme one, and so and so. But I'll just do one. Okay, so make sure this is on line art layer. And then for this one, we'll need a giant ass cutter. It doesn't have to be specifically clean. But you know, you don't want to be too messy looking either. So cutter, and I like to keep cutter on the underlay. So I'm gonna cut and paste it into the underlay. So with the eyebrow, we have something like this, right? Yeah. So what do we need? Line art and underlay module. Line art, underlay. Oops. We'll grab these two. Line art is pretty simple. And then we're going to cut this eye with that eyebrow cutter. And then we'll create another peg called FI master, and that will be the master peg for this eye. So that's eyebrows pretty much done. I guess I'll add deformer on it. But so let's take a look at what I've done here. So remember this giant ass green cutter? So if I just bring this down, you know, the eye is gonna get covered in it. Yeah, I have to figure out like if this is gonna work with the eyelashes. Maybe I need to put the eyelashes separate. But yeah, so that's the idea. Yeah, I didn't think too hard about the eyelashes. I might need to take these triangular eyelashes and just give them their own pegs and stuff. Ideally, like before, you know, trying to rig all the stuff, you would have like a character sheet with different expressions, so that you'll know how each part would work in the different expressions. But I was lazy, so I didn't then, and I will pay for sure in the future. But eye is done. Eye is done. And we can now move on to some easy stuff. Cheek blush. Cheek blush. Oops. And cheek blush, I might add a blur module on it. It's kind of cute without the blur module, but I might do a slight blur. I'm just gonna eyeball the pivot point because it doesn't really matter too much. And I'll show you the blur module really quick. Blur, radial blur. I'm just gonna grab that. And we have this cheek blush drawing here. I'm gonna plug it underneath. And then give a radius blur of 1. Now, let's take a look. So, when we look at this camera view, and this is what we call OpenGL view, because it's rendering through just OpenGL. But it's not actually like rendering like a final render. So if I actually put this through a render, so if you look at this cheek, you know, it's not blurred, it's pretty crisp. But if I hit this like a blue flower, like now you can see that it's rendered. And I'd like to be a little more subtle than that, so maybe I'll do like 0.3 blur. Maybe even less, 0.2. Something like that. For now, anyways. And mouth is another whole beast, which I might tackle much later. Maybe at the like last step. But for now, let's just create this smile. Just the simple smile mouth. and we'll create a full lip syncing mouth some other time, because I'll need to rough out the lip sync. And mouth is pretty independent of all the other elements that I can always like rig it later, and it's fine. All right, nose. Nose is very easy. Let's give it a slight softness. So slight soft curves. And then we'll taper using pencil editor. Pencil editor. The default is Alt W, I believe, or maybe not anymore. But it used to be Alt W, and then with the version like 15 or something, they added a different function. In any case, I changed it back to Alt W. Otherwise, you can just find it here in the second one in the pencil editor. And then holding Control, I can create different points for the manipulation, and just gonna make the end ones a little bit smaller, taper them a little bit, hold Shift, and make them these curves a little natural by like kind of manipulating them. And that's good enough-ish. Just gonna use the stroke tool to create a little point where I can just grab it. If I don't add that, if I don't fill it, it's, you know, you have to grab it by the, if I don't fill this nose with anything, first of all, it'll be like it'll be see-through, but also like it's kind of pain in the butt to try to grab a pencil line, so it's good to have something solid that you can click onto. I might even make it a little bit bigger. Do I ever raster images in the rig, or is it usually all vector? The program software itself is vector mostly. There are bitmap things you can import, like let's say if you want like specific texture, you can import them. That will make things very heavy, because usually you would want like fairly high res textures, otherwise it looks like crap. So yeah, there's some vector options as well, like but mostly I mean, there's some bitmap options, but it's mostly vector. And you know, like the point of rigged animation is that you let the computer kind of do the in-betweening and like all the heavy lifting, and the computer can't really compute the bitmaps, right? So that's why you try to go for vector option as much as possible. I guess the head is kind of almost done for now. It's not fully finished, but let's create some hierarchy. Now, I've only done one side of the eye, right? Because I will duplicate it, like this whole group. I'll duplicate it and then like kind of like flip it. So I don't have to rig the other side. And I might, it's more of a cheat, like it's not like because, but you can get away with it to a degree. So I'm gonna like do that once I'm sure that like this eye is fully done. But I might do some testing on my own time just for the eyelash part. Like I might need to do some like a posing exploration, that which I should have done before rigging, but yeah. Okay, one thing about I put a pivot in the dead center and the eyebrow here, but usually you want the pivot of the eyebrow to be on the outer side, because that's how the eyebrow muscles work, right? Because when you're raising your eyebrows, like the muscle here is gonna pull and push, so that's how the muscles work. So it's more natural to keep a pivot on the outside. Okay. I've drawn faces before. Should I fill them in? Yeah, let's do the head. I'm not confident about the shapes. Looks a little wonky. Let's take a look here. Head and jaw. I made this earlier today in the stream. These I can always tweak them later, because these will most likely be like a single cell element. You know, like there's some things that are like has multiple cells. Like let's say this upper lid, for example, upper eyelid, it has a multiple cells. So if you would want to make any design changes, then you have to make changes to all the other cells. So that's kind of pain in the butt. So those you want to be extra careful. But if it's like a single cell element, like it's a little more forgiving. You can just change that one thing if you made a mistake, and it doesn't take up too much of your time. Okay, so let's rig the head. Fairly simple. So we did the line art already. So I'm just gonna fill, cut, and paste the color into the color art. Same with the jaw. Now next step. Next step is we're just gonna get rid of this line, right? So it's gonna be like seamless when they intersect. So for those we need line art, color art, auto patch, and cutter. Now, how many of you guys know Toon Boom? Otherwise, I just won't explain auto patch until someone really asks. But I'll just rig as the stream goes on. I'm getting more tired and a bit lazier. So unless someone really wants explanation, I'll just do a light commentary of the basic concept of what I'm doing instead of actual techniques. Cool. All right. So I'm just gonna set this up. So that I know what I'm working with. I'm gonna need one of these cutters. All right. So in a basic sense, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna rig it so that when this black line enters the color section of this jaw, you know, that part is just gonna get cut out. So head line art, I'm gonna apply a cutter and then boom. Simple as that. I'm gonna render to check if the render's clean. It's pretty clean. And that looks good. And even though it's not necessary, I'm gonna do the inverse. So in case like if the jaw ever gets on top of the head, I'm gonna do that part as well. So simple as that. And now I'm just gonna manipulate the jaw a little bit and the head so it doesn't look too bad without the ear. Okay, and we'll make the ear, and that will do more of that fancy cutting, fancy schmancy. So yeah, so that now that even if animator like kind of mess around with a little bit of like the line, the shape will always be closed, so you won't get a retake, like a revision notes on it. So what I mean by that is like sometimes like you see older, maybe it's more like a flash rigs that you'll see, you know, something like this, right? Like where his head is comprised of like shapes that look like that. It's not like two full shapes that are meeting. It's just, you know, you're just putting one shape on top of each other, and it's not really rigging. It's just. And then problem with this is that, you know, if you were to, let's say, have the like character talking or something, and then kind of misalign it, and that looks like an obvious mistake. Right? So that's why it's great to do this kind of setup where, you know, even if you somehow misalign something, like you don't always have to worry about, you know, like these lines matching up perfectly, because it will always be one shape due to this rigging method here. Okay, ear. Ear, we'll use rectangle. And making sure I'm on line art for this. Okay. I'm gonna get slightly fancy with the ear. It's another future proofing, because if I look at the design, if I were to just follow this design, like I don't really have to worry about the connection between the ear and the head shape, because you know, you don't see it, but sometimes it's worth to do a little bit extra, make sure everything works nicely, so that if I need to reuse this character for a different character, I have everything set up. So ear. So ear, I also create something called inner ear. That'll just use that'll just do the inside part. If I want to keep it super simple, like I can just draw the inside of the ear in the ear, but it doesn't require that much work, and it gives an extra flexibility. So for this one, I need overlay, line art, and color. Auto patch? Do I need auto patch? I don't think so. So it's fine. Okay. So similarly with the head and jaw, now the ear seamlessly blends into the head. Now, what about these overlapping parts? There should be lines, right? So I'm going to create that. But first, I don't know if I'm loving this position of the ear, so I'm just gonna move it down a little bit. Yeah, maybe that's slightly better. I don't know. Okay, so I'm gonna copy this line art and paste it into overlay. And then I'm going to create this type of shape. And overlay, invert cut to that. Double check if there's no render issues. Doesn't look like there's any. So alright, Pancake Draw, thanks for coming. I'll see you later. So the cool thing about this is that now only certain parts remain, doesn't get cut, right? But also, yeah, just like before, if an animator needs to make a bunch of changes, but they don't need to worry too much about them staying within the lines, because even if you go a little bit out, you know, the shape will always be filled. And create the inside of the ear. Again, I could have completely drawn this inside the ear, maybe even use the underline layer for it, but I'm kind of future-proofing a little bit here and separating the inside of the ear, so I have more flexibility in the future. Just a little bit of taper for appeal. Looks a little bit too big. maybe that's okay for now. And I already did the rigging part, so this inside ear part will always remain inside of the ear. Cool. But I think I'm about ready to call it quits here for today. I'll do for another 15 minutes or so, and then maybe I'll call it done. Okay, I'll get the bangs done today. All right, the bangs. Let's get to it. Bang 1, bang 2. All right. From here on, the concept's still very similar to how the head and the jaw works. Pretty much the same, or it's more closer to how the ear works. So I'm gonna create two shapes, and then when they meet together, the line's gonna like disappear within each other's shapes. Now, do I want to do more future proofing? Now I'm thinking if I should make a hairline color so that in the future, if I want to change the hair color line of different character, I can easily. There's bang 1. And second bang shape. And it's a similar setup as this, so I'm just pretty much gonna copy and paste. You know, so like once you get into it, a lot of the rigging parts are very similar. So you know, you don't have to redo the same work over and over. hair color. While I'm at it, let's also make this hair highlight color as well. And hair highlight, I might put it within these bangs as well. So these hair highlight, just gonna create some simple shape. There's one, and if you have a shape that is similar to the other one, you can just copy. And then for the bang number 2, I'm gonna paste it and then just stretch it out. You know, it's not just the rigging, but also asset generation. If you don't have to do the same work over and over, you don't have to. And that's the difference between getting a rig done in like 3 days or 4 days. Like there's like a whole day of difference if you cut every little corner like that. And that's why if you're good, you get paid top dollars. Sort of. I don't know. I don't know if the riggers get paid all that much, but it's pretty valuable position if you know how to do it properly. Fill in the color, moving into the color line. And let's rig the that hair highlight really quick. Yeah, nothing too fancy. It's just invert cutting that underlay layer hair highlight into the color layer. Something like that. And then we're gonna create the overlay. So we'll use this part later when we have the back of the hair all figured out as well. Oh, okay, bang, it's done. A lot faster than I thought it would. Maybe I can do the rest of the hair. Yeah, I guess going a little bit fast if I'm not explaining as much. I'm gonna create a piece called interior hair so that she doesn't look bald. Yeah, maybe in the future I might just do a couple of streams with like put some music on and just me doing it, and if someone has a question I'll just answer them. Yeah, cause yeah, it's a grind, you know. It's you know, just like a concept painting or something. It, you know, as simple as this is, it will take like 20 hours plus. So yeah, so now she doesn't look so bald, right? Mm-hmm. Now for the hair. Mm, you might have to figure something out to get this ear coming out of the hair working. Um, Maybe I might be overthinking it. If I just, yeah. But let's build this side of the hair. So exact same deal as the bangs, really. So let's create those. F hair 1, F hair 2. In fact, since it's the same deal as the bangs, I'm just gonna duplicate the bangs. And that's the smart way to go. And then I'll just rename it after. So I have everything set up here already. All I need is all I need to is just redraw certain parts. Okay, so here we have it. And using find and replace custom script, I'm just gonna find bang and replace it with F hair. Cool. Now we just need to just reshape it. Easy as that. And this is how you get faster at your work. hair highlight, this will have to be a little bit different than the bangs, but I'll deal with it after. And this one, I might have to revisit some of these hair shapes at the top here. Because I want that hair shape to be nice and, nice and like even. Like I don't want any like weird bumps like that. So I might have to have like a just basic like hair clump that just sits in the back. So then I don't need these hair to go all the way to the top like that. So I'll just lower it a little bit. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do. I'll just have like a nice sphere or oval shaped in the back. We'll deal with the ear later. Because this might be a case where like I just have to just rig it slightly differently. So have the ear be on top of the hair and then just mask it out. Yeah, slowly but surely. There's some bit here, I have to work with. But I think I'll leave it there for today. Might have to go back and revisit some of the design choices and just double check if they're really working for the method of rigging that I have chosen. Yeah, so that's it for now. Thank you all for sticking around. And I hope you have a good evening or night. I'll catch you tomorrow probably. I want to get this rig done by this week, but I think I need to speed up or rethink how I do these streams so I can go a little bit faster. Hey, good night.